Hello everyone, I am Khwaja Rizwan, Miro enthusiast, and I am back with another Miro template, and this one relates to functional document. First of all, I have explained uh, how and what sections incorporated in the functional document. So in this template, there are altogether seven sections, and the top one starts with the executive summary and project details, and it includes the project title, the project manager, the versioning history, what is the purpose of this document, and what is the elevator pitch for this document. So each section of this, especially the document purpose and elevator pitch, they need to be very concise, brief, and to the point. Then comes the second section, which is relates to the scope and objective. And you can see here, each section, I have given a very small helping tip that how this section is to be filled and used. And with each of the subsection of the section, for example, when I'm talking about the scope and objectives, there are four subsections. The first one is the project objective, then the in-scope elements of this section, then what is the out of scope, and what are the success metrics. And for each of these subsections, you can see here a small tip is given that how to very crisply define each of these subsections. Then the third section relates to the functional requirement. And in order to define the functional requirement, I have created a mix and match with this document feature of Miro. I have used a table feature, and in this table feature, you can see here each column is defined over here. The first column relates to the ID, a unique identifier for each of the functional requirement being used here. Then the requirement, then user story. It includes a link to or a small version of associated user story from a separate user storyboard. So then the priority, it could be high, it could be medium, and it could be low. And you can use colors to identify these priorities. Then the status, it could be to do, done, or in development. Then dependencies, links to other requirements or external systems. So the fourth section relates to the functional requirements. Now in this non-functional requirement, there are four subsections. The first one relates to the performance, the second security, then usability, and then the reliability. Now the fifth section belongs to assumptions, constraints, and risks. Under this section, there are three subsections relates to assumptions, constraints, and risks. Then the sixth section belongs to acceptance criteria, and it represented in the form of a checklist. And I have used a checklist functionality where you can use and check and uncheck any of these statements. And the last section belongs to the appendices and related documents. And in this section, you can define user stories, technical diagrams, references, and glossary. Now, in order to use this template, I have used an example so that you can easily understand how a functional document is laid down. So I have taken an example of an internal HR onboarding portal. So the title goes on top, then the project name of the project manager, then the versioning history represented in the tabular form, and I've used a table feature of Miro for this. Then comes the document purpose. It needs to be brief, crisp, and to the point. Then comes the elevator pitch. Then scope and objective. And under scope and objective, as you can see, there are four sections in scope and objective, and all can be represented in a bulleted points. The idea of using the bullet points, on one hand, it is brief, and it conveys in a very simplified form the idea to the stakeholders. So always use a bulleted points under scope and objective. Then comes the functional requirements. And in order to define the functional requirements, I have again used a table feature of Miro. So as you can see here, the first column belongs to the ID and it is a unique identifier. Then the requirement is defined in the second column, then the user story and the priority of this first functional requirement, then the status of this functional requirement and the dependencies. Now the priority and status can be selected out of high, medium and low, and status can be selected out of in development, done and to do. Now next comes the non-functional requirements, and under non-functional requirements the four subsections are performance, security and usability and reliability. The fifth section belongs to assumptions, constraints and risks. And under assumptions, you can define a bulleted assumptions here. Then the constraints, and the last thing in this section is risks. And it is again represented in the tabular form. The first column belongs to the risk, then likelihood of this risk, then the impact of this risk and the mitigation plan. And then the sixth section of this template of this example is acceptance criteria. As I have explained earlier that I've used a checklist for this section, and you can use click or uncheck or check this any of the points of this template. The last section belongs to appendices and related documents, and in this section you can use user stories, technical diagrams, references and glossary. So these are if you can just go through this example and map all these sections to your own example or your own project. So you can just copy it. You can copy it and then you can use this template to your project. I hope you like this template, and do come back to my channel. Also subscribe and like, so that you are informed with more templates to come, the new that I'll be creating in the future. So do like, subscribe and share my channel as well. Thank you very much.